At a time when people are struggling to maintain their sanity, I've managed to amplify my productivity. Not because I'm naturally competent or disciplined. For most of my life, I've been an eminently unqualified individual. The first real career aspiration that I had was professional poker player, probably because the only knowledge I possessed was how to waste my time and money. After more than 2 decades of failing to live up to my personal standards, I recognized that something had to change. I developed a personal code to keep me on the path towards my mission. Without this code, I'm sure I'd be wasting this quarantine rather than using it to develop my skills and discipline. Fortunately, Jocko Willink's new book distills the lessons that took me more than 24 years to learn into a format you can read in less than 24 hours.
The book is called The Code, the Evaluation, the Protocols, striving to become an eminently qualified human.
If you want to use this quarantine to your advantage, I highly recommend picking up this book and incorporating its lessons into your life.
And let's roll into it. Without an objective, the objective will not be reached. Without a goal, the goal will not be achieved. Without a mission, the mission cannot be accomplished. We wander aimlessly, moving without making any progress. Meandering through life instead of becoming who we could be, we simply become whatever we become.
Jocko is a little bit more competent than the average person.
If you're like me and you sleep with multiple alarm clocks, you got your first one, iPhone. Then you got your second one, battery powered. Then you got your third one, wind up. The wind up is the gnarly last one with the...
So if you're starting from Steve level difficulty, I'll show you how I adapted some of these principles to bring me from the laziest 2% of the population to running a business generating more than $2.5 million in revenue, to having all of that stripped away while maintaining my optimism and developing my discipline. I don't finish many books because I find the authors spend 400 pages explaining a concept that can be summarized in 4.
The whole book is not a ton of writing. Not needed.
But brevity is Jocko's specialty.
I don't like people that talk a whole bunch without saying anything.
In less than 2 pages, the code provides 10 principles for pursuing your goals while avoiding temptation.
Here's the code. I will take care of my physical health by exercising, eating properly, and getting the rest I need to recover and rebuild.
The code illuminates the path to your ideal future.
I will not waste time. Time is precious.
The code is like an algorithm for life, providing us with a formula that we can run our decisions through.
Should I look at another Netflix show right now? Or should I go and work?
When you reach a fork in the road, you can ask yourself the question, which action adheres to my code and which violates it?
Well, I will not waste time. Time is precious. Okay, I know what decision to make there.
In most situations, the answer will be painfully obvious, but taking the right action can be excruciatingly difficult.
I will develop myself mentally by reading, writing, drawing, building, creating, and engaging in other activities that sharpen and expand my mind.
I know that learning how to code is going to set me on a better path for the future, but playing my 10th straight game of Warzone feels like a much more compelling proposition.
You have to deny immediate gratification and push back against weakness.
The more often that I read my code, the more it programs my mind to choose long-term investment over short-term gratification.
I will not waste money and I will make prudent financial decisions.
Jocko's code provides that formula for minimizing future regret and maximizing future potential.
The code sets a standard, the highest possible standard. The highest possible standard reveals and delineates the path we must follow.
The code is the compass that guides you down the path.
The path is how you become what you want to be, who you want to be, and what the world needs you to be.
I think of the path as the strategy that leads towards my mission.
It's your goals, your dreams, what you want to become. The path is yours. But at the same time, much of the path is the same for everyone.
Discovering my mission was the result of the most important exercise that I've ever performed. Jordan Peterson's self-authoring suite.
For people to live a better life, that when they die, they don't regret the life that they lived. That's the future authoring program.
Yeah, one of the things you can be virtually certain of in life is that you don't get something you don't aim at. The future authoring program helps people specify their aim.
Writing the plan for my future is what led to my personal code. I highly recommend performing this exercise at some point, but with Jocko's code, you can get started without it.
Finding the path isn't as hard as you think. Some of it is clearly defined in the code.
As you incorporate the code, you become more competent and can naturally discover your mission, adapting the code to your needs.
This code is not perfectly suited to everyone, but it is not unalterable. You can modify it if needed, customize it for you and your life. While it isn't perfect, it's a good place to start.
As you follow the path, you're going to inevitably encounter obstacles that steer you in the wrong direction.
Laziness, ego, weakness, and immediate gratification will try to pull you off the path every day.
With the code, you'll always receive the directions to get back to the path. Just because you have the directions doesn't mean they're going to be easy to follow.
This can be the most difficult part of the journey, to break free of the gravitational pull of weakness, habit, and fear. But you can fight and you can win.
Jocko runs 4 podcasts, manages more businesses than I can even keep track of, while publishing New York Times best-selling books. I would love to get to Jocko mode by age 48, but at age 28, there are still days where I struggle to get out of bed in the morning. So while Jocko's advice is undeniably useful,
what do you do on the days when you're just not feeling it?
It's often easier said than done.
Don't want to hammer on a project? Hammer on the project. Lift the weights. Sprint the hill. Work on the project. Get out of bed.
I know that I'm going to have to make many changes to keep on the path to pursuing my goals, but trying to make all these changes simultaneously will cause me to fail. So rather than trying to do everything at once, I recommend making one change. Read the code every morning. If you're starting at Steve level competence, don't even write your own code. Write out Jocko's code and put it somewhere that you can't ignore. As you read the code every morning, it starts to program your brain the same way that computer code programs an algorithm. You'll stop needing to consciously take actions that help lead to your goals. Your body will just execute them automatically. For example, if I'm reading every day that I will not waste time, it becomes physically painful for me to lay in bed after I wake up. Once you build this habit, you can start building additional habits that lead to the pursuit of your path. Now I've built more positive habits than I can count, while eliminating some of my most self-destructive behavior. But the only way that I was able to do this was by incorporating an evaluation system, something that Jocko provides in the next section of his book.
In order for us to live the code, we need to clearly define its parts so that we can evaluate our progress every day. We need an evaluation system to grade ourselves as we attempt to follow the code.
If you're interested in learning about this, then let me know in the comments below and I'll make a follow-up video next week. If you want to see that video or learn how I'm doing while following an all-meat carnivore diet during the greatest pandemic that's ever struck our generation, then subscribe to this channel. If I didn't write my code and start following it 2 years ago, there's no chance that I would have the discipline to stick to a carnivore diet during the middle of this pandemic. If you want to start building your discipline and your competence, start reading your code today. You'll wish you would have started 2 years ago. And 2 years from now, you'll wish you would have started today.